Good morning, beautiful people. My name is Cherisse. Welcome to my channel. Today is my day off after my first 5 days in a row. I work in the parking lot at my job, just pushing around carts, and it's pretty nice getting to be outside. I will say, jumping right into this, it can be a little bit exhausting. I generally walk 6 to 10 miles a day, which at the very start of it, I was like super pumped about. I was like, no, this is super awesome. Like getting to walk like 10 miles a day. Like, I love it. Like, I'm just getting paid to get exercise. By like the fourth and fifth day this past week, my feet hurt so bad. So, I get paid in a couple days, and one of the first things I'm going to be buying is some new walking shoes. I actually did a lot of research into what shoes are good for my specific type of feet. I have very wide feet and I have really high arches, and as well for the amount that I'm going to be walking every day at work. So I found a $170 pair of shoes that I wanted on eBay for like $50. So I'm going to be buying that when I get my paycheck. I'm looking forward to it because I just imagine it's going to be so much nicer than walking around in my Vans or Converse. So yeah, my job is going good. I am enjoying it for the most part. I will say that the last couple days, I definitely started to get way overstimulated. I'm working at this point about 28 hours a week, and that's awesome. I told her I wanted up to 30 hours a week, so I'm like right there. I will say the last couple days, I kind of wish that I had less hours, but this is one that I'm kind of pushing myself with because I'm like, you know what? It's about 30 hours a week. I can do this. I'm outside. It's probably one of the least stressful jobs there, other than the fact that on busy days, and yeah, just drivers can be kind of idiots. And I have almost gotten hit by a car quite a few times. Yeah, I would say that that is probably the most stressful part of the job, is cars that don't pay attention. Like, there are a lot of people that go through the parking lot just like literally just looking at their phone the whole time, and I get it. I've been there. I've done that. I think most people have, but this is definitely like making me way more self-aware of driving through parking lots and being like, hey, there are people here doing a job and pedestrians, like, be more careful. I think that that's like something that most people automatically start to become more aware of, like, the older that they get. And for me, I definitely have become more aware of my becoming a safer driver, especially around like people who are just walking and doing their day to day and working. But this is making me even more aware. So that is, I'm just like, I can't hate too hard on some of these people because I have not always been the safest driver myself. I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for a day off. I go back to work tomorrow and I work 3 more days, and then I get 2 days off in a row. I switched my preference to having like 2 days off in a row because I don't really like the whole work 5 days, 1 day off, work 3 more days, and then you get 2 days off. It's just, I have been getting a little too overstimulated, and I would like to start getting multiple days off in a row to really give my body the rest it needs, especially considering how much of that I am walking and exercising during this job. But so grateful for this day off. Yesterday, I definitely had a little bit of a mental breakdown for like pretty much the rest of my day after I got off work at like 2 o'clock. I just was so exhausted. I napped until pretty much like 6 o'clock, just laid there. I was literally like, I couldn't move from how exhausted I was. Yesterday, I walked almost 10 miles. And after that, I was just kind of like a grump. Like, my body hurt, my legs hurt, and I was overstimulated. And it had been kind of a rough day in the parking lot. People were like driving extra crazy. Like, I can't even blame the full moon for that because it's not, but yeah, I then proceeded to cry for like 4 to 6 hours last night about a bunch of fucking shit. I had a really intense mental breakdown, but I did listen to a bunch of positive affirmations during my mental breakdown, which kind of helped pull me and snap me back out of that. So I'm feeling a lot better today. I am definitely struggling with a little bit of like self-worth issues around my around how much I feel like I'm able to work while still keeping a stable mental health. And this is something that I've known for a while. It's also a big part of the reason why I lived nomadically for years and why I've loved working on farms, even though a lot of the farms I've worked on have extremely heavy workloads that I would be like, this is what I can work, and if I didn't work as much as they wanted me to, they would basically just treat me like I was lazy. And I'm like, no, I have major mental health issues, and I've had some people comment on my videos where I'm talking about my struggles with adjusting and all that, and they're like, life is hard for everybody. I'm like, you know what, I am not discrediting anybody's life experience or saying that my experience is even harder than other people's experiences. I'm well aware that life is difficult for everybody in their own ways, but I'm also aware that not everybody has had the types of mental health struggles that I have, and deteriorating into suicidal lows and the such is not an option for me. I will not overwork myself to the point where I want to kill myself again, and that is something that not everybody struggles with. I think a lot of people struggle with thoughts of death and like overwhelm in their life, but I will say that it is very unique, some of the mental health struggles that I go through, and I've worked really hard. And while over the past, I would say 6 or 7 months, I was really struggling with how dark my mental space got, I have worked so hard over the years learning what I need to remain stable to the best of my abilities. And there are certain things that I must do to allow myself to take care of myself to the best of my abilities, so I don't dip down into those types of lows like I used to all the time. I used to live in basically a state of just being suicidal 24/7 for years. So I am definitely dealing with a little bit of self-worth issues, and I have for a while now. That is like feeling judged for not being able to basically overwork myself like some people do. Some people actually do thrive more easily in high work volume environments with high work hours. Some people don't struggle as much with that as much as I do. And it can be really easy to like project other people's expectations onto my life and my view of myself, especially when I feel like other people are kind of looking at me like, that's pathetic, like you're struggling right now, like I work so much more than you, like, or they treat me like I'm lazy. And that is definitely one of the things that kind of can make me spiral out. That's one thing that kind of made me spiral out yesterday when I had my mental breakdown, is I was severely overstimulated from work and I was exhausted. My legs hurt. Like I literally just went into a job like that overnight that I am walking 6 to 10 miles every day for work. So while that might be a normal walking pace for some people, for somebody who has not done that in a really, really long time, it is an overwhelming transition, as well as the massive transition I am dealing with my life right now, stepping out of a nomadic lifestyle into a real person job for the first time in 4 years. So I have to be compassionate and patient with myself because I realize that I'm going through a lot right now. And yes, everybody is going through their own things. And like I said before, I am not discrediting anybody's experience or putting mine on a pedestal just because I'm talking about it. It seems to be something that some people are very sensitive about. And all I have to say is, if me talking about my struggle is triggering you to be like, my struggle is so much worse than yours, why are you complaining? I think that you should probably sit with yourself and meditate on that, because I don't need people projecting their bullshit onto me and my life and my experience. If you would like to create a channel and talk about your struggles, feel free, go right ahead, bud, but you don't need to be just projecting all your negativity and hate on me because I'm talking about my struggle, just because you don't feel like you are able to talk about your struggle, or because you belittle yourself for feeling like you're struggling. So, rant over. Drink a little coffee to go with that. I think yesterday I got into a little bit of a mode of comparing myself to my brother, who is amazing. I love my brother to death. He's an amazing guy, but he's working at this point, he also got a job at the same place as me, a second job. So he's now working 60 to 70 hour weeks, because he has another full-time job as well. And I've done that before. I just want to say right now, guys, I've worked that type of week. When I was 19, I worked 2 jobs. I worked full-time at a Starbucks overnight, and I worked a part-time job at a retail store. So I used to work 60-hour weeks for a short period of time, and that was one of the highest stress periods of my life. It was horrible. It's actually the reason that I got into smoking pot and doing yoga, because of how high my stress was. So I will say that it created a very positive thing in my life. Going through that high level of stress made me search for ways to deal with it in healthy manners, because I was experiencing so much stress that I was getting symptoms of fibromyalgia, which I don't know if any of you know what that is, but it's basically a stress disorder. It's neurological, but it causes severe pain in the body. And basically, my mother had fibromyalgia since I was a little girl, and so I watched what stress did to her body. It's actually the reason that my family left Japan when I was 8 years old. My mom was, I want to say, in her early 40s, I think she was in her early 40s or late 30s, and the doctors told my parents basically that my mom had the body of an 80-year-old woman because of how stress and fibromyalgia was impacting her body, and that we basically needed to go back to America and plan her funeral because she was dying. So I started experiencing symptoms of fibromyalgia, and I only knew what this was because I'd watched my mother have it for so long. And I will say also that she is not dead. She is actually doing very well, and she healed her body through nutrition. It's this thing called Relive. I'll just skip forward now. But I learned back then, that I did not want to also work that many hours, and I went through a lot of stressful things. Right after that, I entered into a abusive relationship. Just one thing after the other, my life kind of fell apart in some crazy ways. And ever since then, I have not really been able to work like that again. And it's probably because of trauma. Trauma makes it actually very difficult to live a normal life. And I will say everybody deals with trauma differently, and there is absolutely healing. Dude, look at me. I'm out here working 28 hours a week at a normal real person job, getting overstimulated as fuck, but I'm doing it. That's fucking badass. And not everybody is going to give me credit for that, because they're going to compare me to themselves and how much they're working or how stressed they are and how well they're handling that, if they are. But I think that I need to give myself credit for doing this because I think this is pretty badass. And I just keep reminding myself to create goals of what I would like to achieve and where I'd like to go. I kind of know where I want to go, but maybe that will change at some point. But I am setting goals for myself so I actually have something to reach for rather than just simply living in this mode of living and being like, okay, well, now I'm stuck in this lifestyle. Like, no, that is not how it is for me. This has been a really beautiful experience at this job, even with the overstimulating and overwhelming aspects of it. I'm definitely struggling sometimes, even with how easy I would say this job is. It is one of the easiest jobs I've ever had. But still, I think the overstimulation aspect and being around people so much and cars and just the busyness it can be very overwhelming. And I am missing farming so much. Oh my God, I miss farming so much. I've just been really, and it's also like farm season. I will say that in the long run, I would like to do that, but there is one thing holding me back from doing that. Well, kind of two things. First of all, my dogs, and second of all, not having something to fall back on. So in Northern California and Oregon, working on farms, one really rough part is if like something fell apart at the farm and I had to leave or it ended up being a bad environment, I didn't ever have anything to really fall back on. Sometimes I would, and I will say that it always worked out for me. But I really want more stability in my life right now. I really do, which is why I'm living this way right now, even though it's very uncomfortable. I keep reminding myself that I am not just doing this to fall back into an old way of living. I am doing this because I am trying to create something stable for myself. This is not a forever thing for me, but this is me actually learning how to take care of myself better than I have, and having more than just a trust system to fall into. I would actually like to have financial backing if I'm going to move somewhere else or go back into that way of living to some degree and work on farms. And if I'm going to do that, first of all, I need to have more stability for me and my dogs to be able to do that without the instability and the constant like movement of life, because things change, things happen, and I would like to be more prepared for this in the future. So I am really focusing on saving once I take care of financial responsibilities that I have. Yeah, this has been quite the experience so far. I feel like so much has happened in such a short period of time, and I am learning so much. And I have been going through a pretty intense rate of like overwhelm, but it is to be expected with this transition, and especially somebody who has been so reclusive for 4 years, and now there's not a whole lot of that. There's not a whole lot of that available to me at this time now, so I am really trying to have a good balance in my life between taking care of myself, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, and taking care of myself financially by showing up to work and doing a good job. And I think I'm doing a great job at work, but definitely figuring out how to create a balance so I'm not just falling off the boat each time I get overwhelmed at this job or like pushing myself so much until I just have a massive panic attack. My goal is really to create enough balance and stability, consistent mental stability in my life that when I am getting overwhelmed, I am doing things to calm and alleviate the situation before it turns into something like the panic attack that I had yesterday after work. So this is a beautiful experience. This is a beautiful experience, and this is a stepping stone. I realize that this is just a stepping stone, and then there is more wonderful things to come, and perhaps this is going to connect me with people, opportunities, and experiences that are going to be lasting or great for my growth or whatever the fuck. I'm obviously trying to be so positive about this, but I'm really struggling at times. To be honest, in the past few days, I have been really struggling with being in this job, in this environment, because of how severely overstimulated I have been getting. And, yeah, I think I'm doing pretty good considering, but I do need to figure out some ways to create a better balance so I'm not just fucking losing my shit. Wish me well with that, you guys, and thank you for watching my channel. Please do like and subscribe. Thank you for being here. I love you guys, and I believe in you. Bye.